This Mike, we're going to show you our second official handling session with this wild-caught Great Basin gopher snake. We showed you the first. The idea here is to demonstrate confident grab, show you the progress we get over a few handling sessions, and show you that it's actually very easy to socialize snakes. Now, it's been a few days since the first handling session we showed you that we filmed. The only times her enclosure has been opened in between was I cleaned, and she's also eaten once in between. So she has had interactions in terms of me coming and going. But in terms of actually handling her, this is going to be the second official time. So again, we're going to demonstrate confident grab. We're going to go in one constant movement. We're not going to hesitate. We're not going to start and stop. And we're going to pick her up, and you're just going to take whatever consequences there might be. If she starts to hiss, if she starts to show defensive posture, if she starts to tail rattle, she may musk, she may bite. Gopher snakes aren't typically muskers, but this girl has. She's musked me both when collecting her in the wild, putting her away, in her captive enclosure. She musked during that first handling session that we filmed. So gophers aren't typically muskers, but she's shown everything. The hissing, the musking, the biting. She's been a biter. But you can see right now, took the lid off right before I hit record on the camera. Prior times, she was posturing, she was hissing. You can see her head is raised. She's on alert a little bit, but no hissing. She hasn't really gone into a full defensive posture. So here we go with confident grab. We'll pick her up. We'll see what happens. We'll go from there. All right, we got a bit of a hiss. So doing pretty well. We got that initial hiss. We got no strike, no bite. Now, hopefully what you saw from that, I don't know if you could see, maybe my hand seemed a little startled or something when she hissed. That's fine. But it didn't stop me from picking her up. It didn't stop the handling session when she got defensive. And that's the key. You want to make sure that that defensive maneuver on her part doesn't keep you from picking her up. And then once you do pick her up, she's calmed down pretty well. There's no tail rattling. Now I can tell you, just she's stiffening a little bit. She's not at a point where she really enjoys being handled yet. She'd rather not be. So she's stiffening a little bit, kind of making it difficult to hold on to her. That's okay. And remember, the other key to confident grab is you always want to end these sessions on a positive note. So were she to musk me, were she to bite me, were she to begin acting defensive again, hissing, striking, we're not going to let those things deter us, and we put her back. The reward is to be put back in the enclosure. So we only want to reward good behavior. And even if it's only 3 or 4 minutes of handling, that's perfectly fine to put them back at that point, as long as it's on a positive note, and then gradually increase the time of your handling sessions. But she's doing pretty well. And again, this is only 2 extended handlings like this. The rest has been, like I said, just opening her enclosure to clean, to feed. I've even peeked in on her a couple times where I didn't pick her up, just checking water, doing things like that. These wild-caught snakes have a tendency to tip over their water bowls and do all kinds of things. So she's had interactions with me where I've come to the enclosure, I've opened it, in some cases just look around briefly and then close it again. Those interactions are just as important as handling, because seeing me come and go, seeing me come and go from the room, seeing her enclosure open and then nothing happens, that's still a positive thing in her mind, because no bad came to her. And that's where I want to touch briefly on, there's a real trend in the hobby now toward really highly cluttered enclosures. In fact, you can't see a social media post these days asking, how do I set up my enclosure, without people saying, essentially just cover the entire enclosure in as much stuff as you possibly can. I'm not a fan of that. Now, this is not her enclosure. This is just where I let her relax for a few minutes before we started filming. But, and this is one of the tubs I put snakes in when I clean and do things like that. But I keep a very simplistic enclosure. It's a couple of hides, it's a little bit of decor, and some things for them to climb on and do things, rocks, a branch, even a deer antler, something like that. A lot of this is for me more than it's for them, in all honesty, particularly with these burrowing species that just like to dig around in the substrate. But I am not a fan of cluttered enclosures, and here's why. Even the interactions that she has day in and day out, as the dogs come and go from the room, as I come and go from the room, as I come and open her enclosure and then, add some water and close it again. All of that is a positive social interaction. And just her seeing human and pet activity around her day after day reinforces for her that she's in a safe place. If you fill a cluttered enclosure, what do you hear people say quite a bit? I never see my snake. This isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. My snake's never out. My snake's never active. Well, why would they be? Because you're basically encouraging the same reclusive behavior that they have in the wild, which is what keeps them safe from the elements and from predators. They don't need that in captivity. And snakes actually learn very, very quickly that the environment they are in is safe. I even point the entrances to their hides out into the room. So a snake has the ability to go into its hide, go to the back of the hide, feel completely safe, but they can still see out, and they can still see if you come into the room and then leave. They can still see that you come, you open the enclosure, and then you close it again, you add some water, you close it again, and you walk away. And for them, that's a positive experience. That just reinforces that, hey, I'm in a safe place. I don't need to worry. And so really quickly, you'll be surprised how quickly, within a couple of weeks in many cases, you'll start seeing your snake more and more and more, and your snake will be more and more comfortable. Now, I'm going to show you a video here coming up soon. I have another snake that I am working on socializing because she's actually going to star in a movie here at the end of August that's filming here in Utah. And one of the things I am doing now, she's one of Jason's snakes who normally lives in a tub in a rack system. So she's not used to having kind of that exposure to her environment as much as she would have in a display enclosure. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping her in a display enclosure. I'm going to handle her a lot. I want her to start experiencing that feeling of safety and get used to the idea that she can be in an enclosure and be out and be active, because that's going to be important when they film her in a laboratory setting in the movie where she's a Sinaloan milk snake, but in the movie she's playing the part of a highly dangerous and venomous new viper species that has been discovered. So it's going to be important for her to be able to be out and about and not just hide away in her hide. And so that's why I'll be working with her for a couple months and just helping to socialize her a little more than she gets from being in a rack system. And again, I guarantee you that within a week or two, I'll start seeing her more and more and more, and she'll be more active, even without my direct interactions with her. And that's what's happened with this gal as well. She gave me an initial hiss, said, hey, leave me alone. But that's a big improvement over my first interactions with her, where it was striking, biting, musking. None of that right now. She's stiffening a little. She doesn't like being held yet, but that's all right. That's typical. But anyway, hope this helps you guys. I hope this more than anything kind of reinforces the idea that very often we kind of build up the anticipation, the tension of going in and handling that snake that we think may bite us. But this is very often, most often, what happens is you pick them up and they calm down pretty quickly once they realize you don't pose a threat. We do this with her literally 2 or 3 more times, and I guarantee you we're not going to get the hiss anymore. We're not going to get her head raised as the lid of the enclosure comes off. She's just going to accept that, hey, I know you're safe. I know you're not here to hurt me. Please like, subscribe, comment, give us your experiences with taming snakes. I'm a firm believer that any snake can be tamed. Give us your personal feelings on cluttered enclosures. As I said, I'm not a fan. I think it's self-defeating. I think you'll have better socialized and more quickly socialized snakes if you don't give them all that clutter and all that opportunity to hide away all the time. Happy 4th, everyone.